and hello. I am Schenectady County Legislator Philip Fields, and it's a great honor to welcome each and every one of you to our presentation of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. As we gather here to reflect the unity in which he had strived over the many years, I would also like to extend the deepest appreciation to the members of the Schenectady County Human Rights Commission, and which I'm a part of, and it's a privilege to have them all. Your dedication to promoting equality and justice in our community is truly commendable. And on behalf of the Schenectady County Legislature, I express gratitude to everyone joining us in this celebration, and I encourage you to participate wholeheartedly as we honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I would like also to welcome Dr. Janet Bell and our guest speaker, and Freedom McBride, who will speak on the spoken word. As we remember the theme of the discussion, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Dr. King continued to express, I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. And as today, as we have this program, let's take time to always do what is right. I thank you very much for joining us, and welcome again to this particular program. And I hope that we strive to be more inclusive and harmonious in Schenectady County. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Janet Bell. It is my honor and privilege to address you on this 2024 celebration of the birthday of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by the Schenectady County Human Rights Commission. Dr. King was a man of and ahead of his time, a brilliant, complex leader and prophet. Our country and the world are better because he walked among us and used his eloquent voice to call for justice, peace, and love for all people. Please allow me an indulgence for a moment. I was on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. in 1981 at a rally with several hundred people where the great Stevie Wonder called for this holiday and was instrumental in its birth. Stevie's song, yes, we all called him Stevie, Happy Birthday, was the inspirational engine behind his campaign. On that day, Stevie recalled the profound words and contributions of Dr. King. Injustice in any form, affecting anyone, was viewed by Dr. King as a threat to everyone. Oppression against one group is oppression against us all. His efforts reflected a moral drive to improve the life of all human beings. By commemorating Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, we do more than honor one man, however extraordinary. We honor the profound spirit of love and concern for humanity that gives us life and inspires us all. Dr. King, a servant leader himself, proclaimed, everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. There were countless servant leaders who helped create and were part of the American Civil Rights Movement, the freedom struggle. Among them, Bayard Rustin, the chief organizer of the 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, whose critical role is achieving long overdue recognition in the film Rustin. A brilliant man, but also Black and gay. His role at the time was underplayed. Also underplayed were the women of the movement, which is the focus of this presentation. The movement, of course, began long before the March on Washington. One significant event was the 1955-56 year-long Montgomery bus boycott, largely planned, coordinated, and sustained by women. Recently called as pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, this event helped propel Dr. King and Rosa Parks to prominence. Less known was the role of Joanne Robinson, a teacher at the local Black college and president of the Black Civil Rights Organization, the Women's Political Council, the WPC. The WPC had planned and strategized for the day when a bus boycott would happen, and they were ready when Rosa Parks sat down to stand up for justice. Absent mass transportation, they planned alternate transportation and communication systems. Remember, there were no cell phones or internet services. The women stayed up all night to copy and distribute flyers calling for the boycott. They waited anxiously to see if people would heed the call, and they did. Withstanding white violence and pervasive threats to their lives and livelihoods, they persevered. Their heroic actions and sacrifices resulted in the integration of Montgomery's buses and national changes in public accommodation laws. During the Civil Rights Movement, African Americans led the fight to free this country from the vestiges of slavery and Jim Crow. Though they were all too often and remain invisible to the public, African American women played significant roles at all levels of the movement. Some led causes and organizations, such as Dorothy Height, the president of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority and the National Council of Negro Women. Others did not have titles or official roles, including Georgia Gilmore, one of the cooks who organized to raise money to support the bus boycott. These women did not stand on ceremony. They simply did the work that needed to be done without expectation of personal gain, often unnamed and underappreciated. African American women helped to construct the cultural architecture for change. African American women leaders and activists addressed the most important and volatile issues of the times: segregation, lynching, education, and economic justice. Even before the civil rights movement began, the crusading anti-lynching journalist Ida B. Wells Barnett tried to protect Black women from sexual violence and the antebellum and later Jim Crow tradition that allowed white men to abuse and rape Black women at will and without punishment. In my book, Lighting the Fires of Freedom, African American Women in the Civil Rights Movement, I spoke with 9 women who were active at a range of levels in the movement about what ignited and fueled their activism. And I published their stories in their own words, with their cadences, colloquialisms, and lyricism intact. These are real people sharing real lives. Some are now in their 90s, and unfortunately, since the book is published, several have died. But they had decades of untold stories to share. These women organized and analyzed the role of race in American society and set out to make a difference. They did not seek fame or fortune. They sought a more just world for themselves, their families, their community, and this nation. People who lived and worked in the South were the heart and soul of the movement. Their heroic actions often put themselves and their families in harm's way. Myrlie Evers, the widow of Medgar Evers, the NAACP's first Mississippi field officer and a leader in her own right, always knew the dangers that she and her husband faced, but they persisted nevertheless. The young people of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, exemplified by Judy Richardson, who left Swarthmore College and forfeited her scholarship to join the SNCC staff, held voter registration drives, and organized other social justice projects in hostile environments throughout the South. People who raised funds or provided housing and food to civil rights workers put their own lives and livelihoods in jeopardy. Isolated and vulnerable sharecropper families in the rural South participated in the movement in this way, and I am the grateful beneficiary of their grace and goodness and kindness. Restaurant owner Leah Chase, in defiance of Louisiana's Jim Crow laws, provided more than food to civil rights workers. She provided a safe haven for them to conduct meetings and make plans. Some other participants' contributions were not as dramatic or fraught with danger, but they were still necessary to the freedom struggle. Dr. June Jackson Christmas recounted how she and her husband Walter opened up their home in New York City to provide respite for civil rights workers from the South. She also provided counseling and fundraising support. With little money, no standing, and the law itself against them, African American women had to be creative, resourceful, and able to adapt, eschewing top-down leadership. They encouraged people to develop their own approaches, espousing what we now identify as the ethical foundation and visionary approach of transformational leadership, built on mutual respect, creative problem solving, and an understanding of the need for systemic change. Diane Nash was a student leader at Fisk College who took over the Freedom Ride after the Congress on Racial Equality bus was firebombed, the passengers barely escaping with their lives. Nash recalls that several Freedom Riders gave her envelopes to be mailed in the event of their deaths. In 2022, President Joe Biden awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Judy Richardson understood the vital significance of running the SNCC telephone service, literally a lifeline for activists who might be and who were in physical danger. As servant leaders, these African American women were rooted in their desire to serve communities rather than gain power for themselves. These women accepted the uncertain and dangerous consequences of their activism and leadership. Myrlie Evers, as did Coretta Scott King, lived with the threat of bombing and assassination. When Medgar, and I only use first names to distinguish them, when Medgar was appointed the first NAACP field secretary in the state of Mississippi in 1954, he negotiated a paid position for Myrlie as the office's secretary, a man always ahead of his time. Together, they basically were the office, working as partners in the fight to end segregation and to improve the lot of Black people. Medgar did the outside work of community organizing, rallies, speeches, voter registration, and the investigation of racial incidents. In addition to all the typical inside work of the office, typing correspondence and maintaining records, Myrlie did research, helped write speeches, and organized events from celebrations to the all too often memorials. She organized the visits of civil rights leaders and other dignitaries, often feeding them and hosting them in the Evers' modest home. It is important to remember that this was a perilous time. What might seem like mundane work had special meaning and was always fraught with danger. The Evers home was firebombed in May 1963. Just a month later, Medgar Evers was assassinated in their driveway, essentially in front of his wife and 3 children. Widowed, Myrlie Evers stayed in the house for a year. The driveway remained a daily reminder of her husband's death. In the summer of 1964, she addressed the NAACP convention at a time when the civil rights workers, James Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Schwerner were missing and not yet discovered murdered. Kathleen Cleaver, who was the first woman to serve on the Central Committee of the Black Panther Party, was targeted by the FBI. Richardson and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee were constantly under attack and threat of attack. And these women's leadership was always shaped by compassion, such as that of Mamie Till Mobley, the mother of slain teenager Emmett Till, who expressed sympathy and love for the children of those who had killed her son. She spoke eloquently about the value of forgiveness, redemption, and peace. Her decision to display the mutilated body of her son was bold and powerful, exhibiting moral authority and grace. Whether they were sharecroppers like Fannie Lou Hamer or professionals like Joanne Robinson, Black women have dreamed of worlds where others might have the opportunities that they themselves never enjoyed and who might benefit from the sacrifices they made. These women knew that their individual successes did not separate them from the shared fate of the Black community, that no matter how good they were, American society did not view them as the equals of white. Their stories speak to their persistent and courageous fight for freedom. The women in lighting the fires of freedom represent many others. They answered the call for freedom with commitment and passion. They were principled and steadfast. They lit the fires and showed the way with authenticity, courage, and purpose. Authenticity, courage, and purpose. All these women, although they had given a lot, continued to be active in social justice movements and activities after the height of the civil rights movement. Their stories serve as inspiration, motivation, and instruction for the work that still must be done to make real the ideals of our nation. Although leaders in their own right, women leaders of the civil rights movement represent the values and vision of the late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. While not in my book, I must acknowledge a few others. I had mentioned Fannie Lou Hamer earlier, and Fannie Lou Hamer's famous statement that she was sick and tired of being sick and tired is representative of the kind of courage this sharecropper from Mississippi had when she spoke to the Democratic National Convention in 1964. She was so powerful that the president, Lyndon Baines Johnson, called a fake news conference in the Rose Garden to take attention from this small woman from Mississippi, small woman with a gigantic heart and courage that would encompass all of us, was representing. Mahalia Jackson, who was a great entertainer and was Dr. Martin Luther King's favorite singer, he would always ask her to accompany him when she could. And she at the March on Washington was the one who said, tell them about the dream. His statement about I have a dream was really not in his prepared remarks. And so as the preacher that he was, he riffed on that, and that became a signature piece of that movement. Then there is New York's own Constance Baker Motley, who's the first woman to be on the staff of the Legal Defense Fund, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. She had so many firsts. She was instrumental in integrating the universities of Mississippi and Georgia, assisted by one Derek Bell, I should add. And she became number first. She was the first woman and first Black person to be Manhattan Borough President. She was the first American woman federal judge as well. She is really legendary, and she led the way for others who followed in the triumphs and the successes that she had. And those include Shirley Chisholm, Unbought and Unbossed, Letitia James, Bonnie Willis, and Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. There's so much to say about these women I've just mentioned, and I hope you will take the time to learn more about them. They were, some of them still are, striving to save democracy, and as Mrs. Hamer said, make America live up to its creed of equality for all. These are the times that call for bold and visionary leadership in the spirit of Martin Luther King. So in honor of Dr. King's enduring legacy, the Schenectady County Human Rights Commission is announcing a new campaign to end hate and bias in all forms. The campaign will be featured on the Schenectady County's Human Rights website. They're calling on the community to join in crucial conversations to raise collective voices of love and hope for better and brighter tomorrow, and lay the foundation to build a bridge for a tolerance highway. To participate, simply submit an essay of 200 to 250 words with an opinion, comment, or short story that illustrates how love can drive out hate. Submissions should be forwarded to the Schenectady County Human Rights Commission in care of Executive Director Arthur Butler at arthur.butler@schenectadycountyny.gov. As Dr. King said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. In the spirit of Dr. King, and on behalf of the Schenectady County Human Rights Commission, I wish you well and a future of hope, light, and love. Thank you for joining us today, and please enjoy the rest of the program, which consists of spoken word presentation and a video that you will not want to miss. Happy Martin Luther King birthday.
Afraid of the big bad wolf, the big bad wolf, the big bad wolf. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? Tra-la-la. Where is my dream deferred? People travel to this land that only leads to opportunities that lead us to crabs in a bucket. And it's the big bad wolf that keeps pulling us back. We out here marching, screaming, trying to educate our own. Build on the rights that seem like common sense. But because some of my brothers sway their hips, or because my sisters have a slick fade that match their fitted suit, they are deemed unworthy. Homeless families, soldiers of war fighting for the bare minimum. And you choose to spare resources for those crossing the borders instead of saving your own? Backwards, backstabbing, politics, under the table, manipulative, economical traders that give us just enough to beg for more. So we become addicts. The easy way to fix our life. Because inflation costs too much to purchase. But pumping poison into our veins make it easy for us to forget that the land of the free got us fighting for low-hanging fruit. The big bad wolf. Big bag America. Leaves liquor in liquor stores on every other corner that has zip codes made of brown skin tones.
Mr. Wolf, what the fuck do you want us to do?
You're stealing our opportunity to breathe. Then you get your panties in a bunch when we say Black Lives Matter, but we still running from those you gave a badge to protect and serve. Mr. Wolf, you are the epitome of the walking dead. So I will always stand before you, no pledge, no equality, knowing you have no real love for life. And we will continue to be lost in what we're supposed to love the most. The land of the free. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? The big bad wolf. The big bad wolf. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf? Tra la 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 la. And it's the big bad wolf that keeps pulling us back. And it's the big bad wolf that keeps pulling us back. 69.9 black unborn babies with black mothers meeting immediate deaths. Who decided babies get birthed in bloody pools of lifeless black mothers? Because the cost of their bodies are determined by premiums. Instead of medical techniques, it's cheaper to rip a soul from the body instead of letting nature determine the course of life. 69.9 the rate of mothers meeting their maker, marking another statistic, and the question of why me, God, going back to doctors while re-entering their pain. The questioning of something must be wrong, pleading for help before they take their last breath, because doctors hold the idea that our blackness can sustain the pain and absorb the aftermath of honor walks, of being sent home by funeral services instead of celebrations and planning a future of families, and babies being left without a mother being able to build up their soul. 69.9 women without work, just a body to experiment on. New techniques, new ways, a white flag that eliminates the possibility of giving hope, the rate that keeps climbing, leaving fathers holding pictures trying to explain to their seed that their mother didn't have to die. The system deemed them unworthy, and the cause of death was a lower price. 69.9 They say black don't crack, but crack is that high. We've become experts in the sniff. Don't puff and give. Shoot that brother next to you and pretend that afterlife is given. The delusion of the Me Too movement to build has turned FUBU into for you, because you gotta get street creds on bodies, burning bridges beyond your scope of intelligence, not knowing that that's all we got. There are no picnics in the ghetto with white painted fences, kids playing over crack pipe. You got a heavyweight belt to hell, deliberately dodging bullets so we can post our fame on the gram. So our melatonin shines, giving life to ages and standing in our beauty. Our insides have self-destruction tattooed on our lungs, and we breathe in hate, destruction of love, misguided opportunity, and setting new generational curses, celebrating those who think they've made it, only to be standing in the queues because we all look alike. Shit. We beyond cracked. Try a full explosion, erosion, acids burning what generations fought so hard to give. We won and losing day by day. Black don't crack. I don't know about that. We beyond broken. 1 child, 2 child, 3 child, 4, 5 child, 6 child, how many more? Who needs TV when reality is prime time? Open the window and feel the breeze of gunpowder, sucking up oxygen like pollen, killing the ability to breathe. It's our children turning into murderous thieves, stealing lives in gangbang, bullets becoming bargains in gang wars, instead of duking it out with fist-pumping blows, where everyone walks away with bloody lips and scars to heal. We ducking drive-bys with nonchalant metal, spraying communities, leaving babies in Ziploc. These kids got bulletproof vests. Shit is insane. Body laying dead with bullets in their brain. Tell me, who's to blame? They say a baby who raises a child that becomes a mother or father who end up being procreators are doomed the second their newborn is conceived in the womb. We supply new trainees of mass shootings in communities that never cease to stop this new era training day. Wrong direction, turning left. There is no right because their mentality speaks to them going down. Man, fuck 6 feet without a cause. It's cheaper to be cremated. Or we lay our young to rest in their best street gear, holding blunts, new kicks, new chains, GoFundMe. Then we stand at their memorial saying they were going to go the right way, but the streets were hard and opportunities were non-existent, when the fact of the matter that giving them the tools to survive was never an option. You can't teach with no experience. Fuck being vague. These babies cursing out adults like the village never existed, pushing out lawless laws, developing the mentality that it's not only okay not to be, we're gonna rip society apart because it stands in our path of destruction. New generations of act before you speak. And think of the consequences when you're standing in front of a jury of life or death. Death is an irreversible time-ticking bomb, and you standing right in the middle. 1 child, 2 child, 3 child, 4, 5 child, 6 child. God, how many more? So take a good look at my face. Mental health has become my twin. She sits with me and interrupts my morning meditation because she says I work better in chaos. So I start my day with fake smiles trying to catch up with myself. But by the time the day is over, I've already recasted myself in tomorrow's role of trying to be a quote-unquote better me. You see, I am my own glass ceiling. But I keep falling through the top instead of shattering hurtful feelings on the way up. Like many women, I'm stuck in abusive memories. I have an addiction to physical abuse or pretending to know what self-love looks like on my skin. I am broken alive, breathing in agitation, wishing it was my blessing. My history supersedes my outlook on my future. But I am standing here smiling through hurt, laughing in agony, and building others up while my blood boils in pain. Because that's what women do. We stop breathing so others can live. And you pretend to see me in hopes that my anger doesn't erupt in your veins, when all I really want to do is talk through my pain. I'm pleading the next time you see my discomfort through my swag, look at me and take a good look at my face. You see my smile looks out of place. If you look closer, it's easy to trace the tracks of my tears. Is my skin not black? The color of wounds that carry scars that stood behind bars and realized the sacrifices made for me? I am the solution that makes equations turn back to zero because I fully understand my future not promised as it should be. Fight the power has become black faces and races wanting equality in the land of the free. Can somebody help me? Trying to understand because brothers getting buried every day and murderers walking free without the notion to pray. So I'm on the picket line shouting, fight the power, hands up, I can't breathe. And you stand side by side with me, not knowing and realizing Black Pig is me. You see, I'm a part of the biggest gang that stands in the land no matter how bad it gets. I'll be the first to throw you behind bars, pick up mental scars, cause you decided to kill your own. I seen faces of death with no protest. When black on black got community scared to walk down the streets, you out there shouting, yo, the police, but yet I'm the one out here protecting the streets. Who do you call when you're feeling down? And your friends say tough luck. Who do you call when you need some help and nobody gives? So now you out there screaming and yelling for a cause. Peaceful protest shutting down malls. But I seen a little girl get shot in the head. No protest, she dead with nothing said. And the murder rate continues to rise. Family members saying their last goodbyes. Where's the manners for the community zone? I'm blown and you trying to catch police on a video phone. You see, when you hate me, you hate yourself because I'm the product of you. I police your actions and what you do. I clean up your mess, help you through your stress. But you hate me when the news tells you I'm the enemy. Jump on a bandwagon and unfriend me. But I still ride or die for the cause. You disappear after 1 week of a political cause. But I still got your back, even when you clueless to the fact that I will be here no matter what. And yes, I know you don't give a but. Who do you call when you're feeling down? And your friends say tough luck. Who do you call when you need some help and nobody gives?